We finally get to use necramech in at least one tile, and while it's limited, it can still be helpful. It's mostly down to Voidrig's fourth ability, Arquebex, being so overwhelmingly destructive. Even if you're limited to 2 out of 10 minutes, it can still help you clean up a tile you're occupying and relieve some pressure. Arc guns are next to useless versus these enemies. Sure, against lower level missions it works, but once you step into the steel path, it's just the weakest firearm you can use. So for this video, I won't really focus on them. I would just recommend using Kuva Grattler or Mouse Alone because they have area of effect capabilities, and Mouse Alone has that big charge that hits hard, but it's only after a few kills. When we talk about necramech, we talk about Voidrig because it is flat out the best. It has second ability that's very much an iron skin we are used to from Rhino, and fourth ability that we already mentioned, Arquebex, is kinda like Mesa's fourth, just instead of having small automatic pistols, you have a fully automatic artillery piece. No aimbot though, but a lot of explosion radius. To talk about building a necramech, it's worth mentioning that for a full build we need 6 forma. However, for purposes of Lua spray, only a handful of mods are needed. Since we only got 2 minutes to use them, and we are less likely to move around much, the most important part of the build is survivability. Using health and armor gives you high effective HP, but to make sure you can't die, you can add rage and repair next to it. What that means is that if you trigger the second ability right after the repair triggers, you will let your HP refill itself safely. Rage ensures you will always have energy to do so, and with that combo, the only way to get flatlined is to make a mistake of not using your second ability where the repair triggers, or getting one shot. That eventually happens. For the rest of the build, I would recommend more ability strength, flow, more energy, and streamline to let Arquebex sing longer. Continuity also affects the drain of Arquebex, but I don't use it, and it's because I like to fit all the movement mods. The reason for that is when we add slipstream and hydraulics for slide and jump height, you can kinda bullet jump with your necramech. I say kinda because it's not as fast as it is with frames, but still faster than necramech's running, and also we're not using the same controls. To jump forward, tap shift twice quickly and then jump. It takes a bit of practice to make it smooth and perfect, but it makes you faster, and you can pull that off in a lot of tiles. While mid-air, you can use your glide to stay up or hold shift for even more forward momentum. Weird part about this is if you tap shift twice very fast before jumping, you can kinda bug out a necramech and it will turn into a Benny Hill running animation. It's not harmful, just silly. As soon as you let go of that shift button, it will go back to normal, but not before being even more silly running in circles. If you ignore movement mods, you can fit 6 to 8 mods with way less forma and have a viable build. Just make it survive and add something that aids Arquebex, preferably Intensify and Flow. For Arquebex build, it's kinda straightforward. Damage, multi-shot, critical chance, critical damage, fire rate, and you have room for 3 elemental mods. I went with Corrosive plus Heat, but that thing does so much damage that I do not think it matters what you combine there. And that's all it takes to wipe check anything in your path, including steel path enemies, Trax units, acolytes, sentients. Anything with a pulse or a set of gears or hydraulics will be in pieces. Except for nullifiers. Those spawns of Satan ignore it. And for some reason, acolyte can nullify necramech abilities, which does not make any sense in the lore. We went back to using necramechs to counter what sentients are doing to our warframes. So I hope that's a bug. It's kinda silly to witness this, and makes the game that much less immersive. Melee on Voidrig is something I completely ignore. It's clunky at best, and honestly, why use it when we can just act all territorial and spin Arquebex 360 degrees around to leave a tile in complete silence? Personally, I kinda expected some sort of upgrade for arc guns in this update, as we are supposed to use them against much tankier enemies, but it did not happen. I don't understand why, but here we are in a scenario where we have like 10 choices for a gun on our necramech and all are insufficient. It works in regular missions, but everything does when you get all the mods and you max them out. Optimum way to farm Lua Spray would be Steel Path, and there all arc guns are just out of their depths. which diminishes the value of using necramechs in these missions, which is a bit sad, but if you take it as Voidrig being just a foundation for a turret that holds Arquebex, then it does help, as it's a pretty easy way to clean up an entire tile in a very, very short amount of time. Because for all the lack of power of arc guns, it feels like Arquebex is stronger than all of them combined. But even outside of Lua Spray update, necramechs are good for profit takers, so it's worth building them. Hope you enjoyed. That's it for this one. Subscribe to help the channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one.